Welcome to an 88K model railroad video, and today we're going to finish up on the Unitram number 4 switch modification video. This is part 5, and we're going to go look at a working example. But before we do that, we're going to touch on some of the steps or some of the things that I had to do or build or create to get this project going. So let's get started. So first off, I had to build a basic frame, and this is the foundation for the switch itself. You can see I use the styrene here at the top. Below is the cardboard piece. So in order to save the styrene or the waste of styrene, I used the cardboard first, got the bases or the outline of it, and then when I got the part perfected, then I actually cut it out in styrene. And you can see what I end up doing is cutting out on the bottom of the track itself. I cut out grooves so that way this could sit right inside the switch. And before I was going to drill or put screws into the track, but then thought it would create a bit of a, if I didn't have countersinks on it, which was difficult. So what I end up doing is just using the glue gun, and I glue gun these pieces onto the frame itself, onto the track, and created the frame. Afterwards, I built up the base here. You can see this edge here and then these center pieces, and I use styrene to build up even this edge here, and I put the grass there. That grass is called Woodland Scenic's Ready Grass, and it's the grass material on top of vinyl. So I was able to cut the vinyl out and then have the shape, and then started to butt it up against the track itself. Here is the ready grass, and I started to cut out the templates, the basic shapes of the switch itself. Here is this is some material that I have, which is double-sided, and it's really thin. So I need to get the thinnest double-sided tape possible in order to keep the grass below the level of the track itself or the rails. That way the Unitram wheels or base wouldn't come in contact with the grass, which would cause derailments. And here you can see I cut the pieces out, and then this is the placement of the grass itself. Now this center piece here was a bit difficult. You have to cut out the grooves and then place it in, and it's still, you can see the ties are exposed, but overall it does cover it enough to give the rendition or give the appearance of the grass being solid or coming up between the rails. I think this is the route to go. It's going to be challenging for you guys to put it together, but if you take your time, you can do it, and the results, like I said before, is well worth it. And here you could see I put all the pieces together. I reused the catenaries, I cut them, and I then placed it within the track itself. So this is what it kind of looks like, or a prototype look of it. But what we're going to do is go to the workbench and look at the completion with all the panels put together, and then we're going to run the tram. So let's do that. So here we are at the workbench. I've got the mock-up set up. You can see that the switch is now integrated into the layout itself. I end up using the grass. What I used was Woodland Scenic, and it's called Ready Grass. It's vinyl sheets with the grass placed on, or the grass placed on top. To kind of break up the look, I dropped some alcohol in different areas to give a different coloration of the grass, because typically you don't see the grass all in one color, especially in an environment like this when it's out in the open. It gives a different look. I think if you can add any type of greenery to these plates, you do it. It is a bit of an effort to get these pieces in, but like I said, the results is worth it. The trams are kind of difficult. The grass itself has to be lower than the rails themselves. So I end up using a double-sided tape to get the grass to sit and place on the rails themselves. You've got to go back and forth and make sure that the edges are straight, that they're not frayed, because when they're frayed, they can get in contact, or they can hit, the wheels can hit it, and then you get derailment, things like that. I use the catenaries, I cut them in half. The bases I reused, and I put them on top of the styrene, and then you can see where I put the two holes in to be able to control the rails. Typically I run them electrically, but I didn't want to go through the hassle of the wiring and all that, and we'll just switch them manually. But what we'll do is we'll run the trams, and we'll go through each 4 of the corners, and then we'll wrap things up. So let's run this first segment here. Now, I run the trains really slow in order for you to pick up the imperfections on the rails themselves. So here we're going through on the left side straight through. Then what we'll do is we'll throw the switch. Here we'll run it back to the right side. And you'll see that right when it gets towards that far end, you'll see it kind of jump a bit. You see, that's that imperfection with the joiners. So now let's switch this. So we'll run this back through. And we'll throw this last switch. And we went through each one of the segments. This should wrap this pretty much this segment up. And like I said, it's worth it. Guys, by all means, go after it. You can use the small oval and use these, the setup to go to each rail. That's one thing that you cannot find, or you don't have in the original Unitram switches. Although they cross over, you can't go from one line to the other. And you have to watch out if you do a figure 8 and you do add these switches, because you could inadvertently add a reverse loop. So make sure you watch or check and test for reverse loops. But other than that, I'm going to close this segment out. Hope you guys enjoy it. Use this, like I said. And if you have any other issues or whatnot, post up, and I like fixing problems. So for example, this was fun and enjoyable for me. I saw the problem with the switches. We didn't have or the switches are difficult to get, and there was no way of trying to mitigate, the development or the release of a product. If Kato doesn't sell the switch, or they don't release it, or they don't release enough of them, then you're in trouble. So this was a good exercise in resolving that issue. And as usual, like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys later.